Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. How's it going, Minnie? Hello, Jeremiah. Hello, Silver. Hello. How's everybody doing today? Guys, it's been... Whew. This is... it's so wild. So wild. I mean, in the end, none of it's surprising, but... Strait of Hormuz is closed. Pretty much the war's back on, even though no one will say it. So $6 gas by Labor Day. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Well, yeah. I mean, they attacked what looks like a desalination plant. And it looks like they're attacking like civilian targets to try and force a deal. And again, what it shows is they don't understand how Iran works. And then Trump saying that he's happy that inflation has gone up. I'm not going to say never, but if it goes back down below $3, it's going to be a long time before it does. That is a guarantee. Anything, literally anything can happen in the future that can change that. But no matter what, it's going to be a while. $3 plus is definitely going to be the norm. Well, and unfortunately, it's not gonna. There's still so much stuff. There's 6,000 products that are made out of oil. How's it going to? Iran will control the Strait. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's that you're wrong per se. I'm just saying I will never say never, because we don't know what could happen, could change everything. Who knows? Who knows? None of us know the future, but it's definitely going to be a while no matter what. Arguably, if the world pushes on green energy more, it could bring the price down. Because then we'll have an excess of supply. That I completely agree with. I will go with the if things keep going the way they're going, we won't. It is unlikely we will see gas fall below $3 again. That's why I always say, with every statement, it all depends on what happens in the future, because things can change it. Who knows? Again, the world changed because of a global pandemic. Who knows what would have happened if that, who knows where we would be right now if 2020 didn't turn out the way it did. Who knows? Heck, we're going to be dealing with a screwworm virus now for probably at least a year. or a screwworm parasite for at least a year, because it's going to take a while for the sterile fly method to actually like work. It's easy to speak indefinites. I understand, Silver. I've learned the hard way, unfortunately, to stop doing it. Definites feel better. Definites feel like black and white. Black and white feels more comfortable. Morning, Clara. I think the wilder statement of the wilder thing of all of this is Trump actually saying he's happy about the inflation, and then claiming to have taken hundreds of millions of barrels of oil. And the Secretary of Energy is like, that's news to me. Oh, yeah. This summer, it's going to be brutal. I'm not sure oil will ever be obsolete, but it won't get used for the things that it gets used for the most. I'm hoping that like hydrogen cells become a big thing after because of this. That's something that I'm hoping for. Because I don't think electric vehicles are the answer. Only because what's required to make the batteries right now is almost as bad for the environment, at least environmentally. Like in terms of cost, it's okay, but the way that we get the stuff for it, you don't think we would be able to, I mean, we may. We absolutely, there's sure. Is there a possibility? Absolutely. Morning, meme. I guess it depends how far backwards we go because of this administration. Which, let's be honest, is a possibility. I mean, I've said this before. I think the best thing as a society we could do is use, instead of using tax dollars to give tax breaks to wealthy, use tax dollars to put as many solar panels on top of people's houses. I would be surprised if everyone doesn't ban US beef, because that stuff's going to spread fast. I missed all the news yesterday. Can assume it wasn't a wonderful news day. Well, you know, basically the war started again. The Strait is now shut down. Inflation is 4.2%. And Trump said that that's a good thing. He's happy with that. Other than that, no, it was a slow day. Oh, and a judge might be telling Trump that he cannot have his UFC fight on White House grounds, because I guess there's actually a rule about having sporting events on White House grounds. So we'll see what comes of that. And their argument for keeping it is they've already spent millions of dollars, as though that's a reason to keep it going. Morning, Bonnie. Morning, Cat. I've decided that this timeline is a combination of Alice in Wonderland and 1984. That's fair. I can't imagine the temper tantrums he's having just in general. On a lighter note, go Knicks. Good morning. How you doing, Lucy? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I have been struggling to make content as of late. Because there are some days I feel like I'm yelling into the void. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing good. Hey, OC. Aw. For a name Big D, you really have some tiny D energy there. Hey, Night Shifter. I appreciate it, Lucy. Oh, and I know I'll get back to doing it. Hmm. Right, Silver? Yes, he did. George, I watched it. It's on video. Big, there's nothing to answer. No question showed up. My guess is this app filtered you. Here's the problem with all of this, and you're seeing it more and more and more. One of the things that I'm noticing is you're seeing a lot of people that supported this administration, even after knowing what kind of a person he was, trying to make it not about who they voted for and who they supported. And that's part of the problem that we're dealing with. Is we as a country are still not seeing anything. There's nothing to answer. No, there's not. I'm not the only one. There's people in here saying there's no question you're getting filtered, dude. I can't guarantee I would have answered it, not knowing what it is, but you have no question has made it through TikTok's moderator. Gas prices. Who had why did the gas prices go up under Biden compared to why they went up now? What did Biden do to raise gas prices compared to what did Trump do to raise gas prices? Stop drilling, shut down oil pipelines. The oil pipelines that shut down were not open. So there was no oil going through them to begin with. And he didn't stop drilling. We drilled more oil in the United States at that moment, at that time under Biden, than any president before. Yes. It's yes. You can say no all you want. It's still true. The XL pipeline had not opened. It wasn't finished. There was no oil going through it. Besides the fact that that's Canadian oil. Not United States oil. He bought more than any president. You mean filling up the SP, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Okay. The president has drained the reserve more in 1 month than any other president in history. He did not drain it to 10%. He did not drain it to 10%. You know, you can actually look up the history of the SBL. You don't have to take the president's or anyone else's word for it. Like, you can see where it was at. No, he didn't. Why would oil companies drill baby drill when they're making record profits right now? Yup. The reality, whether you want to admit it or not, is the United States was drilling more oil at that moment. At the moment of President Biden being done, it was drilling more oil than at any point in human history for any country, or at least in the United States. Again, you cannot like it. You cannot like Biden. You can blame Biden. But these are just the realities. Way to middle that down. What? They have no idea how oil prices work, not anything about the industry. True. That 4.2% is an undercount of inflation. Probably. Probably. If you're talking about the specific areas that impact people the most, it's definitely. Oh, I did not say we didn't get, you know, below 49%, below 50% under Biden. .5% wholesale inflation just released too. Oh, great. Oh, yeah, we're going to get way below. And again, the oil that this administration is getting rid of is not even being sold. It's being loaned, which means they can sell it back to us at a lower cost than they sold it for. So we didn't even get any money out of it. Loans, when you loan someone something, you get less back than you get out. That's not how loans work. Never? Tell that to the banks that loaned my mortgage. They're getting a lot more back. Yeah. No, they're just giving it back to us. We could sell it and make money. That is what normally happens. We sell it and make money. We are loaning it to the oil companies who are selling it and making money. No, we won't make more later. The only way we'd make more is if it's higher. We won't make more later. That's the point. They announced that it's closed. Hey, Kelly. After the United States hit a desalination plant. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It being fully closed is a bad thing. Because that means even less oil of what little was getting through will get through. Or other supplies. We hit a water treatment or desalination, I forget which, in response to the Apache helicopter going down. Hey, Linda. Glad you're home safe. Yes. Nope. There is no... We're not getting anything from it. That's the point. Which, by the way, is a war crime. Yup. Yup. But they don't care about that. Because in their world, might means right. So I have to worry about this? You have to worry about it? I mean, it will cause prices to go up. How did it go down? Iran. With a drone? Total inflation? There's absolutely a way it's at 4%. Was there a reason they closed it? Yeah, because the United States attacked. Because the war is not actually over. No matter what this administration likes to pretend. I never said they didn't have every right to defend themselves. And who's they? Iran or the United States? I mean, everyone has a right to defend themselves. This is biblical in your opinion, and we're being deceived. Okay. I mean, this administration is deceiving us a lot. This administration is doing a lot of deceiving. Like saying that we've captured 100 million barrels of Iranian oil. Revelation is the least understood book of the entire Bible. Anyone that says they understand Revelation is just kidding themselves. I'm trying to be positive here because my best friend's friend who is Iranian Armenian is mad. I understand. I'll admit it's hard to be positive. Yeah. Makes sense. It's hard to be positive when Congress, whose job it is to hold this administration, hold the administration in check, has basically abdicated its entire every responsibility it has. Hey, Ellie. They are not all in it together. Unfortunately, I don't see how it would go through, Birdie, because the president can it would have to get a veto proof majority in the Senate and the House. At this point, the amount of times I want to move and denounce my American citizenship crazy. You know what? You aren't the only one, Jay. There's a lot of people that are doing it right now. Ah, I'm blind and deaf. Okay. And you're doing a great job convincing me otherwise. My understanding, Cat, from everyone that I have heard, says that it does, but maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. That is what I have heard. So on the bright side, that means 0 laws are being passed and executive orders can easily be wiped away. Hey, Shadow. Yeah, I mean, ruling by executive order is a really crappy way to run a government. It doesn't actually allow anything to get done. Not really. The fact that everything, all hundreds of his executive orders can be canceled in a snap, obviously is good when someone makes bad executive orders, but rule by executive order is really bad rule. Hey, Teach. Haven't we seen Iran close the Strait before once? I mean, they've closed it multiple times during this war. They opened it back up when they agreed to a ceasefire. The conflict will end in 2 weeks, plus 2 weeks, plus 2 weeks, plus 2 weeks. Yeah. I never thought I'd have to study crap 51 years after graduating. I think you said we were close to a deal 12 times. Only 12? I think it's more. Remember when he said he was going to fix everything on day one? Remember that? I do. Morning, Ghost. Same. I have a hard time believing anything from this president. And so we should. Because most of the stuff he says is a lie. I did see he got booed at the Knicks game. That was hilarious. Good thing I'm a prolific reader and researcher about all things. There you go. Be honest, did you vote for him? No. Didn't vote for him the first time. Or the second time. Or the third time. The guy was an idiot from the moment he... like... Literally would never vote for a man like that. What's up, Courtney? Any idea on how they plan on fixing Social Security? Gosh. My guess it's the dumbness of putting Social Security money into the stock market or something. If he was a Dem, I would have voted Republican. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely should cut the cap on Social Security. That would fix most of the problem. The war is a cause, but not the only cause. Of what? The inflation? Of what? What do you think the war is a cause of, or not the only cause of? The reality is where was the Strait of Hormuz open? I mean, it was somewhat open. It was never fully open. But it was more, some stuff was getting through. Some days more than other days. I mean, there are websites where you can see how many ships are going through. I can accept someone that voted for him in 16. I get the not another lifetime politician sentiment, even though it's misdirected. We don't need non-politicians. We just need to vote in the primaries. Truth. It's bizarro world. Yeah. I will never forgive anyone who ever voted for him. I mean, you know, Sunlit Angel, I can understand that. But there's also 70 plus million people that did. And we have to find a way to live in this country. And I'm not telling you that you need to forgive any of them. But if we can't find a way to move forward, and that doesn't mean not hold accountability, but we still have to find a way to move forward. I think just forgetting choices that people made is not a good option, but I also think that we can't ignore the fact that a third of the country helped make this problem, and that's still a third of the country. Or the voting age country. After January 6th, if you voted for him, as far as I'm concerned, you committed treason. Again, that's fair. Thank you, Barely. We need to find a way to make space for those that have seen him for what he really is. We need two things. So this is the things that need to happen, I think, if we truly want to heal from this. The people that voted for him not only need to see him for what he really is, but try and understand why they were willing to and learn from it. There has to be more. There has to be more than just saying, oh, we realized he was actually a shitty person. They need to understand why they were willing to vote for him and understand and actually grow from it. Because that's the problem. It's not even that they voted as Silver over on the tube said. It's not even that they voted for him the first time, which I think is wild. Is that they were willing to vote for him again and again. Oh, I mean, there will be some that won't, Queen Margie. There will definitely be some that won't. That's asking a lot. Fair. Yep, I'm asking a lot. But, you know, trying to turn this society into a country where that is one where all people, no matter your race, religion, gender or identity, get rights, respect, dignity, and safety is also a hard ask. Obviously. What do I do with MTG? What do you mean? What do I do with MTG? Well, the IRGC controls the Strait. And if you were a ship that had millions of dollars of stuff on it, you wouldn't go through it if the IRGC says it's closed. Zeus. Especially when no one will insure your ship. That's sad, Rob. That you would willingly vote for probably one of the most corrupt people on the planet 4 times. Oh no, it's very sad. Jobs are not doing great. Tariffs are not winning. They got overturned. How do you move forward with her? Move forward? Again. Yeah, what kind of jobs were they? How many of those jobs were temporary? How many of those jobs were part-time? Some were government. They were local government. The top 3, one of them was local government. They were regular jobs, not farm. That's what's measured. So you're saying jobs report is good, not knowing what kind of jobs they were. No, I disagree that the jobs report is great. It was double forecasted. So, what kind of jobs were they? Your opinion on facts does not matter. No, your unwillingness to understand that there is more nuance to the numbers that you're given and just saying things are good because you are given a number is the problem. Jobs that pay a wage. Jobs that pay a wage means nothing if you can't afford anything from it. Not providing statistics. Provide a number. I don't know the answer. I'm not sitting here saying that they're great.
Biden in his last year added 2.3 million jobs. Trump in his entire first year added a grand total of 161,000 jobs. And yes, the last jobs report was good, but that follows months of poor job reports. And inflation's running at 4.2% without even counting the tariffs.
And, you know, what can be in those job numbers that nobody is talking about? All the temporary jobs that are coming from the FIFA World Cup. Those jobs will be gone in a couple months, in a month and a half? Really? Where's your proof? You don't think that those jobs aren't part of the number? Leisure and hospitality are one of the largest creators of it. You understand that that's exactly what would be under people that are getting temp jobs for FIFA World Cup.
In fact, most of the jobs that were added were in leisure and hospitality and healthcare related fields.
And local government. Those are the top three.
Yep.
Mac, you don't care.
You can check it out for yourself on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Mac, since you seem so interested, or Google it. It's free.
What were the jobs that people got in healthcare? What were they? My gosh. Look.
Yeah, we're not talking brain surgeons here. Those weren't the jobs that were added.
Prove it, because we have a shortage on doctors. There aren't enough brain surgeons out there to make that be a thing.
Mac, I just told you where I got my statistics from. Trump's own Bureau of Labor Statistics. And you can Google it. You can Google it too.
Look it up. Again, if you really care about the numbers, then go look it up.
Show you the statistics. What are you, a fucking... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you know.
You wouldn't believe him anyway. You would call him fake. Fake news, dude.
Adding jobs to leisure sector shows confidence in the economy. No. Again, especially if most of those jobs have to do with FIFA World Cup, that doesn't. There's a big event going on in a lot of cities in this country. Those do bring in part-time or temporary jobs. It's all lies that Midas Touch tells you about. I don't watch Midas Touch, dude. Yeah, right. Okay. I don't care what you think, dude. You don't even have a picture on your account.
Besides, Mac, I just told you where the statistics are. I just told you where I got them from. No, not from Midas Touch. And by the way, once again, let me repeat it slowly so that even someone like you can understand. Google is free. You can look it up yourself. Ask how many jobs were created the last year of the Biden presidency. Go ahead, Google it. Google it right now.
Here, you can go do that because you're not talking here anymore. You can have fun going to Google. I know you're not going to. You're probably going to whine and complain in a DM or something like that, but I can already picture what I'm going to get.
You got it from Midas Touch. No, these are the actual government statistics. Yeah, sorry.
Who controls Google now? You don't.
Oh my God.
You don't just Google and then stop there. You Google and then look at what it gives you. The websites like The Bureau of Labor Statistics. Good morning, Kevin. How are things in Florida? 186,000. Again, okay. What kind of jobs are they? The percentage of people that are unemployed for longer and longer and longer amounts of time is also skyrocketing. People that are just getting out of the job market completely is skyrocketing.
Well, we talked about the job numbers, which are not good. We'll see what 2026 ends up as. Maybe it'll rebound a bit. Let's hope. But not good at all compared to what Biden did in 2024. Let's take a look at GDP. In the first year and a half of Trump's presidency, we have growth of 0.05 and 1.6. In the last 2 years of the Biden presidency, 2023, 2.9, 2024, 2.8 GDP growth. So, on what metric are you saying this economy is better?
You complain about jobs, but cheer when tariffs, I'm assuming you mean tariffs, are banned. Well, yeah, because tariffs are taxes on Americans. More small businesses shut down because of Trump's tariffs than anything. Small businesses shut down because of the tariffs. People's income, people's livelihood shut down because of the tariffs. The cost of goods went up because of the tariffs. And now the companies that raised prices are getting the money back. You think they're going to lower prices to give us a little boost, even though we helped pay for some of them? No. Now it's just pure profit for them.
Catwoman suggests I say what GDP is. GDP is gross domestic product of goods and services.
And again, I know that everybody who supports this administration thinks that mine and Scott's only desire is that this administration will fail. I'm telling you right now, that is not my desire. I do not want. We see what is coming, and we in no way want what is coming to actually happen. Not even a little bit. I will be the happiest man on the planet to say that I am wrong if this country actually comes out better. I have seen nothing to show that life is better. All I have seen is the cost of everything going up. Books was here and came into the chat. I don't know if she's still here, but she said that the what is it? The wholesale inflation is 6.9% now.
Jesus, did that number drop?
That's what she said, that it just dropped.
6.9? Holy Christ.
I'll look it up.
That's bad. That's real bad.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that.
Yep. I'm looking at it right now. Yep. 6.5. Sorry. 6.5.
Well, 6.5 is horrific because wholesale prices are a precursor to where inflation is going.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very distressing number.
And again, that is, and the people that are, look, I understand you want I understand everyone who voted for this administration wants their choice to be right, and you will defend it for as long as humanly possible because you don't want to admit you're wrong because you've been taught that admitting you're wrong is a form of weakness, and you don't want to seem weak because you believe that alpha male whatever bullshit exists. My goal is to make life in this country as good as humanly possible for everyone. 4.2 is crazy when you consider it was 2.3 right before Trump started the tariffs. It has gone up almost 2% since Trump was president. Since the beginning of Trump's near the beginning of Trump's administration.
Actually, Mike, it's gone up significantly more than that because we've been a full year with tariffs now, so they're no longer counted in the consumer price index. The consumer price index compares month A to month A year before. We've now had tariffs for more than a year, so they're no longer factored into the consumer price index. So that means it's 4.2% on top of whatever the tariffs raised your prices for a certain good. So that's really bad.
You do not want things growing at this rate, especially when prices are growing more than wages are growing. Do you understand how economics works? Better than 40%? It never went up 40% under Joe Biden. Way to not understand the economy. Again, you guys are just making up numbers now just to feel like you're good. Do you? Yeah, I do. Wage growth has not already outpaced inflation.
And since when is rapid wage growth good anyway? That's inflationary in and of itself. You want things to be stable. If you have rapid price increases and rapid wage growth, you have rapid inflation.
Not to mention, for one of the worst situations you can have is there are more people looking for work than there are jobs available. That's bad.
Look, what's the risk here? If we have a flatlining GDP, if we have, especially in manufacturing, no job growth at all, and overall minimal job growth. Again, last month was a good month. We'll see what happens when they readjust it. That's the important number, when they readjust it, which will happen next month. At any rate, you've got inflation, you've got low job growth, low GDP growth. That leads to stagflation, folks. We had that in the 70s, and I'm old enough to remember that, and that was horrific. That was absolutely terrible. And that's what we're afraid of.
The numbers are fake. I mean, the numbers aren't fake. They don't give the entire picture. And I understand why the government does it. They want presidents in every president wants to look better than it might look. Don't get me wrong. That's not just a Trump thing. When there's a reason why these job numbers don't go into uber specifics. Partially because it's just a friggin' survey, but also they want to just be able to say, look, 170 whatever thousand jobs were made. They don't want to tell you that how many of them are temporary. Summer jobs, a lot of summer job creation is temporary jobs. We have FIFA, which is going to be temporary jobs. They don't tell you how many are part-time. They don't tell you how many are full-time. They don't tell you how many are anything. That's the point. The real data comes out months later. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we'd all be better off if we just look at places like the University of Michigan and the Yale Economics Lab. You get a much broader picture from them.
It is not usually better. Hasn't been for the last year and a half. Hasn't been for the last few years. It wasn't even always the case under Biden. He had some pretty massive shifts in the job numbers.
Yeah, in many respects, we all focus on the 4.2% inflation, which again is without tariffs. The tariffs add to that. They're just not counted in the 4.2%. But that's not the real number that's discouraging, because the wholesale price index is the one that really shows us where the economy is going. And if businesses are paying that much more for goods, that cost will soon be passed on to the consumer in higher inflation. So the numbers are not good. Those hoping for a rate cut are probably going to be disappointed.
Which is why I always say here that we need to stop looking at everything from a black and white perspective and be willing to accept the gray. And the fact that there is nuance in every single one of these things. And honestly, if you aren't willing to accept that with this administration and this president's desire to look good in everything, that there isn't even more nuance necessary, then you are unwilling to look at reality. Again, I don't care what letter you have next to your freaking name. This is about the survival of people. This is about people's ability to survive, to pay for necessities. I know people that have applied to thousands of jobs and they can't get anything. That have college and master's degrees. That it's not because there's not hundreds of millions of
Hundreds of millions of them? Hundreds of millions? Wow. Hundreds of millions.
Oh gosh, that was good. That was hilarious. Thank you for that. I needed that laugh. Hundreds of millions. It's bullshit, but it was hilarious. Not to mention, the jobs that most of the migrants do are ones that none of us want to do. None of us want to go out and pick vegetables and fruits. Or be on the tops of roofs, be on rooftops. Or be maids in hotels. Not true, not true at all. No, actually, it's quite true. That's the other reason prices are going up. Disagree? You can disagree all you want. You're allowed to. By the way, hey, Lewis.
And by the way, we could quote statistics all day to them, even though they come from Trump's own federal government, and it wouldn't make any difference.
What's up,
None.
Captain? How did the election go? Getting filtered. Yeah.
Yeah, as per usual, getting filtered. How you doing, folks? How are we all doing?
Hey.
All right. I've been my election day was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed election day, getting to talk to people, meeting people, and then having them tell me that they never heard from me before or never heard about me before, even though I've knocked on their doors, sent them 4 or 5 text messages, and personally called them and left them voicemails. That was fantastically great. Which, like I told you before, I knew I was going to lose.
Yep.
I knew I was going to lose. I did not, however, know that I was going to lose this bad and then be blamed that I didn't reach out to people. I've got text messages that I will show you I'll put up in a video later
Yeah.
after I'm not so salty, because I'm not salty about losing. I'm salty about being told that it's my fault that I lost when I did everything the right way,
Yeah.
as everybody wants their politicians to do, without taking money from any kind of corporation, without taking union money, any kind of outside money, keeping it right and just going out, meeting and talking to the people.
Yeah.
Not to mention going viral with social media and getting millions of views and likes, follows, comments, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
I did all of that. I did it the right way. But then being told by constituents on election day that they'd never heard from me, and this is after they voted, and then showing them not only had they heard from me, this is the conversation we had because I recorded it live. This is the text messages that you have received,
Of course.
because it's in your phone. Maybe it's from a different number, but it's there. On the text messages, I even got told that I had no social media. I have more social media presence than every single candidate that was on the ballot
Yeah.
combined.
Yeah.
That I have no website, even though every post that I include my website. Every text message I made included my website. I wish this was only a one-time thing, because that I wouldn't be salty about. One person, missing out on all of those obvious things.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. But it was a few dozen people that never heard from me, and I said, "Oh, you're so and so at this address?" Yeah. Yeah. Went there Thursday. Blah blah blah. Anyways, so I knew I was going to lose. We've talked about it. I told you about it, that I would lose. I did not expect to lose as bad as I did. As of current count, with 93%, 93% in counting, in my district alone, between 2 people, just me and my opponent, I got only just over 1 out of 10 votes.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is that I pushed her so hard that we did have the largest turnout in Nevada so far for our district, because, she put out thousands upon thousands upon thousands of flyers, put out her more banners than any other candidate. She pushed it because, well, she can afford it. She's the leader of the culinary union, the largest union in the state, so she can do that. And I wish that were the only thing that I'm salty about. I don't know why I'm coming out to you talking about this live when I should be putting it in a video. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this recording from you. I need this TikTok recording from you.
Okay.
But it's a comedy of errors. Hold on. I went out, did my celebration last night of this election being over, a 3-month-long campaign where I kicked my own ass to do this the right way. But I am saddened because, and it's hard for me to talk about it right now, because with doing it, all of this work, all of this hard work the right way, I now know that I can't do it the right way if I want to win. I could have won this so easily if I were willing to pollute,
Mm.
if I were willing to put up banners, if I were willing to endanger people's lives, if I were willing to get the sponsorship that offered me help. And I got Republican places that endorsed me that I didn't ask for, didn't want,
Mm.
and they endorsed me, offered to send me money to help me. I didn't take it because I knew it would come with strings attached, of course.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Captain,
go
can
ahead.
I ask you if your opponent was an incumbent?
She was an incumbent, yes.
So she
But-
was an incumbent backed by the Culinary Union in Nevada.
Yes, and she.
Oh, that's a tough road for you. That made it tough right there, right?
Well, not just that, but they picked her. She was never into politics, and in 2024 they asked her to run because she'd been in the Culinary Union for 45 years, and so they sponsored her up, put her up then against three other Democratic candidates, and then two other challengers in the general, and then that was the last time anybody heard from her until I entered the race. 2 years. She went 2 years without talking to anybody. You will not be able to scour the internet and even hear her voice because she has never posted a video, never put up any kind of ad on TV that has her talking. But you know what? Never mind.
So she's a part of the old Harry Reid machine.
Basically.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
With that said, she still is. And I'm not going to blame her for all of the negative things that happened to me during the campaign, because in my heart, I'm going to believe that she is a good person.
Mm.
She just, she's limited by her options and choices, because she did get homeless people the ability to get IDs from DHS. Of course, when they get those IDs, it's not going to do anything because they already have the ability to go get Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, and all of that. But with that ID is not going to help them get a home, so they have a place to eat or a place to rest. So they'll still be homeless after that ID. But taking it one step in the right direction for that, causing Fourth Amendment issues when it comes to giving police the power to pull over anybody suspected of being in any kind of street racing. Being a suspect is enough for them to search and seize your vehicle, which, who cares about the Fourth Amendment? But anyways, no, I'm going to believe in my heart she's a good person and that she's not responsible for trying to entrap me with sending me emails and invitations from underage people wanting me to cross county borders to visit them at the Clark County Fair or anything to help them out. I'm going to believe that she's not responsible for that. I'm going to believe that she's not responsible for having quote unquote constituents text me and call me saying that if I give them so much money, not only will they vote for me, but they'll have their families vote for me and friends vote for me. I'm not going to believe that she's responsible for that kind of entrapment and buying votes. I'm not going to believe that she's responsible for my power and my gas being turned off in my house with having it put under somebody else's name as if they were moving in and I'm just no longer existing there. I'm going to believe that that's not her that did that in the middle of summer. There's so many things I'm going to also believe. I am definitely going to believe that she's not responsible because I'm certain this is my fault, that my signature doesn't match up on my ability to vote because on the ID that I got in the government, they somehow cut off half of my signature. And therefore, I had to go through a bunch of other steps to make sure that I was okay. Mind you, the ID that I got after I registered for the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to believe all of that because, too many too many comedy of errors to be some kind of deceitfulness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, that's what I'm going to choose to believe. But I tried to do it the right way. Now I'm going to have to just do it a different version of the right way next time. Still not going to hurt my integrity, but I am going to have to.
It's
bend
very
everything.
very interesting, right? Because that is the ultimate problem that we are experiencing, because you're not the only person that is dealing with this. I've interviewed tons of people that are doing it the right way, and we're still dealing with the problem of either, you know, their names aren't getting out, the visibility is not getting out, so, and people aren't getting out to vote in things like the primaries, and it's
You know, you just reminded me of one big one that I'm going to choose not to believe. People know me as RC more than they know me as Robert Smith, which is the reason why on the ballot it is supposed to say Robert R.C. Smith.
Yeah.
I signed up for the ballot with the Secretary of State. That is the name that they told me would be on there. But was that the name that was on the ballot?
Of course not.
No, it was just Robert Smith. So people that know RC, no idea that Robert Smith was on there. They had so many other Roberts and Bobs on there, no freaking clue.
Yeah.
But yep.
So, but
Anyways.
that's the issue that we're dealing with as a whole in this country, is too many don't want to get involved enough to actually know who or what they're voting for, if they're even voting at all. And it's making it hard for people that want to do it right, want to make the changes that we keep talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a legal. I actually have to believe that on the name part, though, that's a an actual legal issue that I should be bringing up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that they know that I'm probably just going to let it go. The fact that my name wasn't on there as registered, but
yeah,
I'll look that up later. Because I'm sure there's a clause that say they have the right to change something if it's something or something, but
yeah.
RC is my literal initials. I'm curious as to how they're going to twist that.
Well, you know, I appreciate you running in the first place, man. It's something that I wouldn't have done. So.
Oh, I look forward to I look forward to running again. My mom, you know, actually, this is supposed to go into another video, but I'll go ahead and tell you because I'm telling you everything. And again, I'm getting this recording from you.
Okay.
But it's a funny thing because I didn't understand, and I'm sure I told you this actually in our interview. I didn't understand why people were cheering for me when I signed up, registered, you know, to run. I was like, what is, I mean, this is supposed to be our civic duty, that if we have a chance to do something, then we do something. I didn't understand the congratulations, the cheers, the pats on the backs. I'm like, is this really the bare minimum it takes to be some kind of hero, just running for office? And then, you know, I'm going to get trampled upon and everything. I didn't understand it. I understand it now.
Yeah.
I understand it now because, oh man, it's not, oh, I'll
Yep.
tell you another secret. And this is the last one that you're getting.
Okay.
My mom wanted me to go negative.
Mm.
Or not negative. She wanted me to use the full power of my force
Yeah.
for this campaign.
Yeah.
Which of course does include some negativity, but I again said I'm doing this the right way. What that means, though, however, is that I own my opponent's original campaign website, the one from 2024 that she let go.
Mm.
It's in her name. It is so-and-so for Nevada.
Yeah.
And I own it. And I left a construction page up on there because she let it go.
Yeah.
And she just built a new one. And so I looked at the analytics for that, and 50 people tried looking her website up. 50 people went to her construction page. Thousands of people went to my website. And so I'm not sure that is as much of a benefit as it could have been with me, doing something
Yeah.
devious with her website.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be nice and donate it back to her. What do you guys think? Do I be the nice guy, donate it back to her?
What do you think,
or
Chad?
do I hold on to, or do I hold on to it for the very unlikely chance that I'm competing against her in 2 years?
So far, we got 2 keep it's.
2 keep it.
Well, look, has she been nice to you personally?
She, the very first day that we all candidates had a meeting together, she was at the door and shook my hand. I had no idea who she was at the time, but she was there. The 2 other endorsement places that we met, she was there. We waved and, we're cordial there. At the one event, the only event that she went through, which was not a speaking engagement, where all of the candidates got to set up their pictures, posters, and brought out their tables and stuff to meet a group of elderly people coming in. She, waved to me there and then. So, like I said, in person, she has been nothing but smiles and cordial.
Well,
and,
in that case, if you think you might run against her, keep the website. If you don't think you're going to be running against her again, you got nothing to lose by giving it back to her.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the thing. I won't be able to I won't know for sure, absolutely for sure, until November, if I'll be running at the state level or if at the federal level next time.
Well, you can wait. You can wait till then to make your decision.
Most people are saying
she doesn't
keep
have
it.
another. What's that? Yeah, I see that 90% of people have said keep it. So yeah,
Put a now
I'll
hiring sign on it.
It does say her name at the top, and the construction sign says lost their website.
Nice.
Hey, it's the only thing I could do to make sure I didn't pump up her Google.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that was another thing. Like, for all the dozen people that said, it's like, I talked to my friends, they didn't know nothing about you. Ain't nobody heard nothing about you. It's, you're going to have to do better next time. It's like, and I even Googled you, ain't nothing come up. I was like, ma'am, what did you Google? Oh, I Googled Robert Smith. And I was like, oh, okay. Did you happen to Google Robert Smith, Nevada? Because the first 5 websites on there are all about me.
I had an easy time finding you.
Yeah, so did everybody that actually looked. But you know, how
like Robert Smith isn't a common enough name that if you don't get a little more specific,
pretty much Robert Smith, Nevada brings up 3 people: me, the UNLV coach, and the Cure. But anyways, I talked it out with you. I need this recording. I'm going to get back to work.
Okay.
And saving our environment and such.
Do it.
Anyways, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you are tapping the screen, gifting and all of that, and make sure you are supporting Breaking the Media podcast. He does great work, arduous work, because I've been there and I know that, and I don't think I'm ready to get in there. I might start joining you though.
There you go.
But anyways, for now, have yourselves a good day, good night, God bless, goodbye, happy Pride, and keep hope alive.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Take care.
I had someone pulled up Republican ticket and then asked me why I wasn't on it. Nice, Candace. Nice. Yeah, this is why I still say we need to stop with the whole separate parties thing. Like, I think a jungle primary with ranked choice voting would be ideal. Like, if I could create a way that we should do voting in the future, jungle primary with ranked choice voting. I think that would be perfect. I think that would allow people that may not have been heard of to actually have a chance to get in there. That you got an A+? Yes, I did. That's awesome. That's awesome, Candace. A+ rating from mad voters. That's so good. You love that idea? I think, because here's the thing. It's like, in the grand scheme of things, I've said this before, the letter next to your name doesn't mean anything, right? There are a lot of people that are running under the Democratic ticket that in any other world would not consider themselves Democrats, right? Like they agree with some things, but there's a lot of it that they don't actually align with. But because of the way the system's set up, they can only run under two names. But the name shouldn't matter. We should be focusing way more on what these people stand for. And the best way that you would get to open that up to the extreme is if you weren't running, even in the primary, you weren't running under a specific side's ticket. You were running in a jungle, but it was ranked choice. I think that would be so much better. Be so much better. If we'll ever get that is a whole different story that probably won't, but one can hope.
Well, what are the states with ranked choice now? Maine and Alaska, I think,
yes,
are the only two states with it, and
yes,
a few cities have it too. But
correct.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a jungle primary I think ranked choice voting would solve so many of our problems in and of itself. But I think a jungle primary with ranked choice voting is the way to go.
I think any state that does runoffs should just switch to ranked choice voting, because it's like you're spending so much more extra money for a runoff election when you could actually get it done in like one extra day for counting purposes, to cut people as they go until someone gets above 50%, or you can say if it's a primary, like the top two, as long as they're above 40% or something like that. Like,
heck, it could probably be the same day. I mean, they have computers that could figure out the ranked choice almost instantaneously.
Right.
The other advantage to that, Mike, is that runoff elections have even shittier turnout than primaries in and of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having a really tiny percentage of the electorate choosing the candidate anytime you have a runoff. And you only get an unrepresentative proportion of both political parties show up for runoffs. You get the real hardcores in both parties. So you're not even getting a representative electorate. You're getting a tiny electorate, and it's not particularly representative even of the parties themselves. So it's just a bad idea.
Donovan, ranked choice doesn't require it any more than it requires it right now. The reality is you can walk in and make a check mark on anybody, whether you know who they are or not. It requires more work if you want to do it right, but I arguably would say we should be doing that much work no matter what. Now, do I think we should have a jungle primary that can get as big as, say, the governor's election did? No. The fact that 60 people could be running for governor, that's extreme in my book. No one should have to rank choice that many. But I think there are ways that you could work it that could make it more feasible. That's where they have to get signatures. Yeah. The ones that you see a ton of people running are the ones that require like 100 signatures, like Maryland. Maryland primaries are always huge because it only requires like 100 signatures or $100 or something like that. Like it's really easy to get on the ballot in the primary in Maryland. Probably the same in Illinois. That's why you can have 12 people, 14 people on a primary. Maybe that way in New Jersey too, because you guys have had some really huge numbers for things. I don't know what it is for Jersey, but there's no 100% fair way to vote. There is no perfect way, no. And again, fair is only matters, is only works if everyone is informed. Like, again, if you make it so people, like, if you make voting a civic duty, like an actual civic duty, and if you make making sure that people are informed part of that process, I think that would help. I think that would help. But I also think that there should be some like requirements, like for every X amount of people, there needs to be the same amount of places for people to vote. The fact that anyone can cut voting spots for people is dumb.
Well, especially we know the neighborhoods that they cut the voting places out of.
Sure.
Yeah, it's never a neighborhood like mine, or probably yours.
Silver, that's the thing. And we've talked about mandatory voting before. If you look at the idea of mandatory voting from the perspective of us, right, of our current situation, yes, we can't do it. We could not do it. What we need to do is look at the idea of mandatory voting with a complete fix on how we do voting.
Well, there's another way you could do it too that would pass constitutional muster, and that would be give a tax credit to somebody and basically pay them to vote. And people say, oh, you shouldn't have to pay to get people to vote. You're right. We shouldn't have to pay to get people to vote. But the fact remains we have too many people not voting, so we've got to do something. And if the only constitutional way to do it is a tax credit of, let's say, $50 or something like that, I'm just pulling a number out of a hat, that's money well spent to get more civic engagement.
Yeah. Because
there's nothing more important to a democracy than to get civic engagement.
I mean, the idea that we shouldn't have to do it is the same as we shouldn't have to have regulations to make sure that you know, business owners treat their people correctly. We shouldn't need OSHA. We shouldn't need unions. We shouldn't need a lot of things. In a perfect world, you know, all business owners would treat their workers fairly and care about protecting them and making sure that they're healthy and happy. In a perfect world,
in a perfect world, no company would dump toxic waste into water, and because they know it's a moral wrong. Well, we tried regulating like that for a while, and everything got polluted. So it doesn't work. We need the regulations. You know, it's an interesting thing whether we should follow the Australia model where there's a penalty for not voting. I don't know if that would pass constitutional muster. I haven't looked into it, but I tend to think it wouldn't. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. And using a tax credit, much like the ACA subsidies, using a tax credit is definitely constitutional. Congress does that all the time. So they could, that wouldn't pose any constitutional constraints at all.
Well, I mean, and Silver, there's a lot of things that you could do. It's not even that you need a television or radio that only shows candidates, but you could easily make something that like a certain amount of time needs to be given to all candidates on TV, on radio, on even online, especially nowadays. Like there are so many ways that we could increase the visibility of all candidates. I also think there should be a law that says that you can only talk about what you're going to do and no negative ads. You know, that would be my personal thing. Like it has to be less about pointing out how everyone else has failed and more about what you are going to do differently, or what you are going to do and how you see it helping the people around you. And again, there's nuance to it that we could talk about, but we've got to start. The fact is, the reason this administration got into power is because they convinced a bunch of people that he was somehow different, not realizing that what they did was put someone in place who is exactly what they are against. Like that was the grift of all grifts, is to try and convince the 79 million, 77 million people that he is somehow different than every other billionaire out there, when nothing in his past gives that actual idea. By the way, thank you, Patty, for the galaxy. I appreciate all of you who are supporting. It means more to me than you know.
Yeah, I don't know how a ban on negative campaigning, much as it is salutary, I don't know how a ban on negative campaigning could ever pass, because, you have the whole First Amendment thing. So you're not gonna. I don't think that would fly. But there's a lot of different things we could try. I mean, the one that we keep coming back to, which is so easy to implement, would be ranked choice voting. That would solve so many of our problems relatively quickly, and would be a good place to get started. As for to jack up primary participation, a jungle primary with no more closed primaries would open up the primaries to the entire electorate. So you combine those two things, and I can't imagine that you wouldn't have more voter participation.
Get rid of the speech and debate clause. And again, this is where it's hard, right? This is where all of this is hard. The speech and debate clause is what is allowing Massey to stand up on the floor and do what he's doing in regards to the e-files. So the question,
Jamie Raskin.
So the question really is are the benefits and the negatives, like what and you might be right. You might be right, Captain, that because of where we're at, it might be necessary. It's the same idea as when we've talked about term limits. In my brain, and I've said it multiple times, we have term limits. It's called the primaries. But it has been shown multiple times over decades that we as a society are not willing to use that which is given to us. So in order to protect society, protect our government from what we are dealing with, like a Susan Collins, who when she ran said she would only run for 2 terms and then she would be out, and now is looking for her 5th term? 6th term, something like that. I think we need term limits. I don't like it. I think it's a lazy approach to it allows people to get less involved to some extent. But in the same respect, I don't think we have a choice at this point.
I've also pretty much had the same view as you. I was against term limits because we have elections. They are in and of themselves term limiting events. But it hasn't worked out that way. We're electing 90+% of incumbents. Yeah. That's not fair. That's not a fair level playing field. So do we need term limits in a way to protect us against ourselves? Yeah, we do. We do. So I'm in favor of term limits now. And I'm certainly in favor of age limits. I think we've had enough 80-year-olds.
Yep. I again, if you want to create a secondary system or whatever, so new people can get help if they want it, sure, let's have that conversation. But it was really weird. I saw a video yesterday which reminds me, I want to play something else for everyone that I gotta find. Because we've been talking about the whole Plattner thing. I saw a video where this woman from another organization was talking about the people who wrote the New York Times article about it. Again, Plattner's Plattner. You people in Maine need to decide whether you like him or not. But there's some interesting data that's coming out about the people that wrote that article. I just want to say that we'll watch that in a second. But when it comes down to it, I just made me forget what I was going to say. Do we like him or not? Do we like him or not? I think people like what... I think there are things people don't like about him. I think there are some valid fears about him, especially after we've dealt with the Fetterman thing. I don't think he's another Fetterman. I think if you look at what Fetterman said, compared to what he is saying during his run, I think they're very different. Fetterman has never hid that he is a complete and utter supporter of the I country. That has never been. Is he trying to run as a progressive? I don't think he is running as anything. If I've watched his stuff, he is running as a Mainer who believes certain things. I think we've given him the label progressive. And again, it's always a label. But let me find that video because I think it's something that actually could have... It's important to hear / see. See if I can find it on here. Yeah, here we are.
We need to talk about...
All right.
We need to talk about the author and sourcing on the New York Times attack on Graham Plattner.
Sorry, let me put this up here. Susan Collins does need to go, and that's part of the problem too, right? That's part of the frustration of a lot of people. No, that's not it. That's it. Put it right there. Let me bring it up over here. And like I said, I'm only showing this because as just like I showed the other one, these are all perspectives that we need to have. Like it's important that we... That's not it. There we go. All right.
We need to talk about the author and sourcing on the New York Times attack on Graham Plattner. The piece's primary author, Katie Glueck, was honored by AIPAC as Activist of the Year in 2009 when she was co-president of her school's Students for Israel Club. Her parents are Israeli settlers. Originally from Kansas, the couple now lives in Haifa, one of the primary areas of evacuation as Arabs were forced from their homes during the Nakba. Glueck and her co-author on the Plattner piece, Lisa Lehrer, also teamed up on the New York Times coverage of the race between Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo, publishing a piece that infamously compared Sauron's wind to a spiritual crystal knocked. Glueck went on to write an article called How October 7th Intertwines with the Mayor's Race later that year. Now let's talk about one of the piece's subjects, Lindsay Fiefeld. Fiefeld was the co-founder of the group Ladies for Kavanaugh, a coalition of conservative women formed to publicly support Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh during his scandal-ridden 2018 confirmation hearings. At the same time, she was a fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, an organization whose chair bragged about architecting Susan Collins' support for Kavanaugh, despite allegations of sexual misconduct against him by multiple women.
We were approached and they said, can you tell us how to talk about supporting Kavanaugh without alienating the Me Too movement? We wrote a memo. Susan Collins told me that without that memo, she could not have seen how to support him. And if you look at her speech that she gave on the Senate floor, it is entirely the playing out and architecture of how we said to structure the argument.
Fiefeld's own ties to rabid Zionism are well documented. She co-hosted a popular DC podcast with her best friend, Bethany Mandel, who once tweeted, "Not nuking these fucking animals is the only restraint I expect, and that's only because the cloud would hurt Israelis." Fiefeld herself supported the Trump administration's efforts to deport pro-Palestine organizer Mahmoud Khalil, writing that he wasn't targeted for advocacy against Israel, he was being held accountable. And in 2023, she perpetrated the Pallywood conspiracy theory, which claims that Palestinians are faking videos of the atrocities being committed against them. It's amazing to watch gullible Westerners believe numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry and videos of dolls pulled from rubble after Hamas rockets fall short, reads one of her many tweets on the subject. There are many questions raised by the piece and inconsistencies throughout, like the New York Times' choice to publish it despite not being able to find corroborations for any of Fiefeld's allegations of physicality against Plattner, or the fact that Fiefeld told the Times she's no longer working with the Independent Women's Forum, a group that supports Plattner's opponent. But as Ryan Grimm has pointed out, she was cited as being active with the organization as recently as April 2026. One thing is not inconsistent. The article that's attacking a vocally pro-Palestine and anti-war U.S. Senate candidate was written and sourced by people who had stark ideological differences with him. We need to talk about the author and source.
So again, we need to... There we go. I'm not going to sit here and say that he does not have any issues. 100% won't. See you, Patty. The more that I hear, the more it is, again, the more I hear, the more it strikes me that a certain group that supports a certain country is going to do and say and anything it can to make people to try and keep support. And again, I don't know. I see more and more question. That's all. Silver just said, apparently we're about to put boots on the ground. What? Where did you see that? Karg Island invasion? Oh, God.
What I don't get is why would you invade Karg Island when it's an oil terminal and a very important one, and you could easily block ships from leaving it without risking any boots on the ground? Secondly, putting boots on the ground in Karg Island, it's so small, there's no natural defenses for our troops. They would be defenseless. And thirdly, there's only one airstrip on Karg Island, and if the Iranians blow that up, we couldn't resupply our troops. That sounds crazy.
Aaron Parnas said it. I mean, again, would it surprise me with this administration? No, it wouldn't. That being said, I'm gonna wait and see, because I don't know where he got the information from. So
I mean, the taking of Karg Island has been floated around since day one of this war. But for the reasons I just said, they haven't done it yet because you're putting troops in severe harm's way. It's less than 20 miles from land, and they could be absolutely inundated with drones with no place to grab cover. It's very risky for the people you're putting there. And for what gain? To stop the ships from leaving? We can do that already without putting any troops at risk.
And I'm not saying Aaron is not accurate. In general, he's been pretty accurate. The news that I'm seeing says that he is threatening to. I'm not seeing anything that says that we are actually in. And I've looked in a couple different places. So, you know,
I guess we'll just have to wait and see what he
I'll have to
does.
wait and see. Hey, DDC. Trump said on Fox this AM that we will take Karg and take Iran's oil. Yeah. So again, I'm seeing threatened. Yeah. By the way, hi Mission. There's more. I mean, I'm also seeing news that says the Pentagon has locked down, has floors locked down, evacuated due to hazardous materials incident. I saw someone talking about that too. I don't know what that's about, but no, this is a Good Mythical Morning hat. No, I mean, I guarantee you Karg Island has been thoroughly protected from takeover. Because again, the Iranian regime, they don't care.
The issue isn't taking Karg Island. The issue is what for? What do we do with it? What's our ultimate goal? To stop Iranian ships from filling up with oil. Okay, they can fill up with oil and not go 2 feet. We can block them from leaving. So there's no real reason to put boots on the ground on Karg Island that I can discern. And taking Karg Island has been a part of war plans since 1979. And for reasons of protecting your troops, it hasn't been used. Because you're putting your troops on a tiny little speck of land that's within 20 miles of Iran, they can just shell them to kingdom come.
DDC, I think you'd have to commit more than 6 figures to take Iran. It's a bigger country than Afghanistan, and it's a harder country than Afghanistan, and way more people.
Yeah, Iran has 93 million people, and they're 2.5 times the size of Texas. That is a huge country, and it's mountainous. In order to garrison that country, 100, 200,000 troops, it isn't anywhere in the ballpark. You'd need a lot more than that.
Who's affected the most of all of this? I mean, all of us. All of us would be affected by this. You think gas prices would? You think oil prices are high now? If we went in and took Karg Island, oil prices would not go down. They wouldn't, because that would literally take us from even a question of war to full out war. Boots on the ground is war.
They're not shipping anything from Karg Island anyway. They're blocked off. I don't see the logic of that.
Because he thinks that physically having the oil, by its very nature, regardless of any other reality out there, means cheaper for us. And he doesn't realize that there is way more to it.
Yeah, just like we can shoot at tankers, they can shoot at tankers too. So we're going to steal the oil and try and load it onto a tanker and somehow get it out of there? Oh, good luck with that.
I mean, they are... Yeah, this is... Again, do I think this is going to turn into a world war? No, I don't. But I do think that we are heading in the wrong direction. Put it that way. What's up, brother?
Okay, I do need to correct myself because I did say the mountains alone make it nearly impossible, and I could not type my correction, which is to say the mountains cause for it to be nearly impossible for just us. However, if for some god awful reason the full force of NATO with boots and artillery and airfare, if the full force of NATO, every country, all going full at just the one country of Iran, that would make it possible. However, that would also be World War III, for one. For two, the threat of that, however, could make actual negotiations be possible. But I just needed to correct myself. It's not impossible, highly, extremely unlikely, though.
Not to mention, it would be very difficult to hold after, and it would cost us I mean, you think what we're spending right now is a lot? Whew.
It would take everything we got. And gas prices and oil prices around the entire world would at least triple, I believe.
And the EU countries currently have their hands full with Ukraine and Russia. Good luck getting them to jump in on this.
Exactly. I just needed to explain myself.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to work. I'm getting back, letting you listen.
Okay, bye.
I'm getting back to listening.
Yes, Mike Green, we did see that the Pentagon, they've announced that there's a hazardous materials incident, whatever that means. And we gain absolutely nothing. Correct. Again, this is the part that people don't understand. This president doesn't care about us. He doesn't actually care about us. He cares about what he believes the movies and the books and whatever else will say about him. That's why his biggest desire from the moment he walked in, he walked in the White House was, what can I do that will get me a Nobel Peace Prize? That's all he cares about. He doesn't actually care about the average person in this country. He cares about his name, his legacy, his everything. No, NATO wouldn't get involved. I mean, NATO absolutely wouldn't get involved. There's no reason. Why would NATO put itself in more danger when we started this?
NATO is worried about the Russians. They're not worried about the Iranians. And they're not going to take apart their defense structure to go fight in Iran. I mean, that's, to my knowledge, it's not even on the table.
El Nino has formed. Forecasters expect a global weather powerhouse. Great.
So we got that to look forward to, along with our increased prices of vegetables and meats during the summer. Great.
Yep.
Super. Going to be have a great Labor Day picnic if you can afford it.
Iran is of zero threat to NATO. Yes, correct. Correct. And again, this is the problem, right? We are making Iran more of a threat by doing what we are doing. That's the frustrating part. That's the annoying part. Is Iran a threat as a whole? Sure. Sure. Their regime is a threat as much as North Korea's is. But every time we do what we're doing, we make them more of a threat.
Well, first and foremost, we've taught them that taking the Straits of Hormuz or effectively blocking the Straits of Hormuz is a relatively easy task. And they're going to pull that card anytime they feel threatened, either by the United States or another country in the Middle East. And what have we accomplished for all the bombs that we've dropped and this huge expense that they're lying to us, what it's really costing? You know, we had 4 major goals: to remove their ballistic missile program. Well, that didn't work. In fact, far from the 90% that Secretary Hegseth claimed that we wiped out, the CIA now comes back and says it's only 30%, and they're rebuilding them. Have we stopped their aid to their proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis? No, not a bit. Have we gotten the 970 pounds of enriched nuclear uranium? No, we haven't. Have we achieved regime change? Nope. In fact, the people in charge now are even more fanatical. So tell me what we've accomplished besides putting the world's economy at peril by having 20% of the world's oil and 20% of the world's natural gas cut off. Tell me what we've gained from this.
If anything, what you, again, and Scott sort of mentioned it, what is going to be the result, like if anyone believes that Iran will accept on, and just on this one part, anything short of you know, you have no say in what goes on in the Strait of Hormuz anymore. Like why? Like there's this idea that this administration has, is that they can force Iran to just say, you need to, you know, we'll stop doing this if you promise to keep the Strait of Hormuz open all the time, when it already was before that. All you taught them is that is their biggest, largest card, and that's the one thing they will never give up, because that is their ultimate playing card.
Sure, they may. Look, how's this going to end? It's going to end with a huge payday for Iran. Everybody knows that. We're going to pay the money. Trump doesn't want to pay the money because he spent so much time criticizing Obama for sending over the $400 million in cash. Well, this is going to cost us $24 billion. That's the number being floated around. And that's just to get Iran to allow the Straits of Hormuz to open with no taxes. Fine, that's probably going to be the deal. But don't think Iran doesn't have that card in their back pocket that they will use anytime they feel threatened from now on in. This has been one of the biggest strategic disasters for the United States since the end of the Second World War. Losing in Vietnam was not a strategic disaster. It was a tactical disaster, but not a strategic one. This is strategic because of where Iran is and because of what they can control anytime they want. And now that card can be played anytime they feel threatened in the future.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you seeing countries looking at doing pipelines to other places so something like this can't affect them? You're seeing some of them do it, but it's not going to happen quick, and it's not going to be a complete, because that only works with oil anyways. That doesn't help with everything else that comes out of the Strait that can't.
I have no doubt that the Persian Gulf nations will be building as many pipelines as fast as they can to circumvent the Straits of Hormuz. But as you said, Mike, you're quite correct. It can never be a complete fix. And also, it will add costs to future deliveries of oil and natural gas. Those pipelines will have to be paid for, and they'll be paid for by the ultimate consumer. So
they've had
that card. Either way, even if in the future, 20 years from now, the Straits of Hormuz will not be as important, we're still going to be paying a premium over and above what we would have paid if the Straits of Hormuz had never been threatened in the first place.
You're right, user 4040, but no one's been stupid enough to get them to play it, because we knew that it's a card they could play. Now that they've played it, they're going to be more open to using it, because while the card always existed, there was always a question on how the world would handle it. Because there was talk that after a certain amount of time, that you'd start seeing other nations come in and force open the strait. You want to know what hasn't happened? The strait hasn't been forced open. Because, not only because of the way it was done, but because it's being shown to be harder to do than, again, you could line the strait with battleships, and that still would not make these tankers that go at what, 12 miles an hour or something ridiculous like that, ridiculously slow like that, because of how big they are. That would not make anyone feel safe that a drone wouldn't somehow slip through and get one of them. That's the problem we're dealing with. The problem is not, it's not the reality, it's the potential reality. And every one of these companies that drives one of these tankers or boats with supplies in it, they live based on the potential reality. That is what decides the cost, the potential, not the actual.
And the biggest cost variable will be insurance, and that's usually the trendsetter there is Lloyd's of London. And they are going to consider the Straits of Hormuz a war zone and price accordingly long after a peace accord is signed, because they know the danger of shipping oil now through the Straits of Hormuz, and we're going to pay for that for now and for years to come. That will be added to the cost of gasoline and diesel and home heating oil, everything else.
Yep.
And that is the thing that is a big cost factor, because the tankers aren't going to go through without insurance, and insurance isn't going to go through without being paid a premium to consider it a war zone, which is what they're going to consider the Straits of Hormuz long after a flimsy peace accord is signed.
Tell me the I country isn't controlling this. We're getting close. They won't have the control. We're getting close to what? I'm confused in the statement. Do I think that the I country is the reason that we did it? Yes. Yes. I think that, I think BB told the current administration that this would be easy, and they played on the fact that he could be the person to end the quote unquote nuclear threat. I think they played him like a friggin' 5-year-old that sees candy. They were the, BB was the man in the van with candy, and Trump just walked right over and said, "Ooh, candy." So, I don't know. In the end, this is why we can sit here and you can bash the choices of every administration, because every one of them has made bad choices. But if you're going to sit here and defend one who's doing the exact same thing, then we can't, then that is an end point to a conversation on moving forward. We have problems in this country. Both sides. Both sides. We've talked about it. I don't give a rat's behind about what letter is next to your name. I care about how you treat Americans. I care about how you treat humans. I care about whether or not we as a society can survive, how do you criticize if you just said that all? I didn't say all do the exact same thing. I said all make mistakes. All,
Kenneth, there are there are mistakes and there are mistakes. The mistake with the Iran war is one of the largest geostrategic mistakes we've ever made. Period.
no administration has done what this administration did in Iran. None.
Every administration since 1979 has received war plans for attacking Iran. None of them have pulled the trigger for reasons that are now painfully obvious. They knew that one of the first things Iran would do would be to close the Straits of Hormuz, and it would be very difficult to get that open. That's especially true in the age of drone warfare, where Iran can launch drones from a garage along the Straits of Hormuz.
You know, it was interesting. I was watching, just going back to the problems that we all have and why we're seeing still a support of Graham Plattner even after everything came out. And again, I think based on what we saw, you can argue that some of the statements may be either, whether they are lies or truth or somewhere in between, I don't know at this point. But someone said something that was very interesting to me, or not to me. Someone said, yeah, it was very interesting to me, this person's statement, which was, this administration and the people that have supported this administration are creating a new political system where the things that used to be lines in the sand for some people are no longer being lines in the sand, because if we try and hold our people to the same lines that we used to, I don't know. I have to look exactly how it was said, but, and to an extent, I'm seeing that with someone like Graham Plattner, where they're willing to ignore it because he wants to actually fix things. And again, I don't know how I feel about it. And I think there's a lot of people that are seeing it, but no one can deny that a political system a different political system has been created. If anyone's didn't, like, we can't, there's a desire for things to go to feel more like what you're used to. And I don't know if, do the ends justify the means? And that is a problem that we as a society do not hold to ever. And again, I said this before, we all like to say that we want accountability. The question is, do we really want it? And do we want to deal with the ramifications of it? And until we can agree on that on all sides, I'm not sure we're ever going to be able to get the kind of accountability we want. Because you can say you want accountability. Someone on the right can say they want accountability. Someone on the left can say they want accountability. But unless both sides are willing to hold all sides accountable, then we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And that is a problem. That is a problem. Because again, we're trying to convince people to accountability that could hurt them and their perspective. That's what we're dealing with right now. Why do people say we need to support the Democratic Party? Because the Republican Party feels a lot worse, and is a lot worse in my opinion at this point. So the question becomes, what's that line? Is is the things that are objectively not good about Graham Plattner, are they worse than what Susan Collins has done to this country over the last 30 years?
In the same token, it's also fair to ask, are you going to hold Graham Plattner to the same standards that you would a Republican? That's a fair question to ask. You
Yep.
can't sit there and say that somebody's a scumbag if he has an R by his name, and then say, well, he said he's sorry because he has a D by his name and all is forgiven. No, all's not forgiven.
And again, I can't tell you what your lines are. I can't tell you who you should vote for. I can tell you the realities of each person. And I think it's important to have some of these discussions about why you would be willing to support Graham Plattner after everything we know, compared to why you don't want to support Susan Collins because of everything we know. Those are all valid reasons that people will agree and disagree on. Because in the end, Graham Plattner is the nominee.
That's correct. It's a binary choice, and now comes time to make a choice between the two. And you're right. And I'm very, in case you haven't figured out by now, I'm very conflicted by the whole thing. Part of me utterly despises Susan Collins, but part of me, all of me, despises Susan Collins. But Graham Plattner's candidacy 20 years ago would have been impossible.
Mhm.
And now we've been so degraded that he's acceptable. And it's a tough.
Now-
I'm just glad I don't live in Maine.
Now, here's
I don't have to make that choice.
Yeah, and I'm obviously about to get off. Now, here's the thing. Everything we're worried about, we could find out that he's one of the best senators that we've ever had. And if you
Yes,
can't, if you aren't
that's
willing to
possible.
accept that possibility, then you aren't willing to have the real conversation. And I want to say that because I'm not saying anyone is thinking that. I just want to make sure that this is the reality that we are living in right now. Right? This is the problem with social media, with the way our politics work right now, with society as a whole here. There's so little trust in the information that we're getting that everything we're hearing, everything we hear from Graham Plattner, everything we're hearing from the people that are against Graham Plattner, everything we're hearing from the people that are for Graham Plattner, they could all be wrong, or they could all be right.
Yep, you're exactly right. It's a tough thing to wade through, and I will admit that there is certainly a possibility that Graham Plattner could be a stellar senator. We don't know that.
Now,
We do know what we have with Susan Collins, and that should weigh on the minds of voters there too.
And here's the ultimate thing. So let's look at the Fetterman problem. Obviously, we're all hurt by the fact that Fetterman didn't end up being what we hoped he was going to be. I hope he's held responsible. I hope he's held accountable, because the ultimate point of accountability is in the vote. I hope he doesn't win. I hope he doesn't win his primary.
Oh, I doubt he'll run again, Mike.
That may be the reality of it too.
Yeah, he couldn't win his primary. He doesn't have a stone's cold chance in hell of winning his primary. The Democrats are really fed up with him.
But I'm just,
my issue is why he doesn't even show up to work. He doesn't do any constituent services. He said over and over how much he hates being a senator. Well, then, and I understand his physical and mental issues that he's dealing with,
Sure.
and I have nothing but grace for that. I understand that. But the people of Pennsylvania deserve full-time representation. What I'm leading at is he should resign.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the job anyway. He should resign.
Yep. But this is the reality of a democratic system, where this is a reality of society. There's always the potential that who we pick will not be the best choice. Always, every single time. This is where coming back and voting is necessary. Does it feel worse when we pick a senator wrong? Of course it does, because they're in for 6 years. Does it feel less bad when it's just a member of the House of Representatives because it's only 2 years? Of course it does. all we can do is our best. All we can do is talk about it. We can talk about what we like about him, what we don't like about him. Those are things that's all we can do. And in the end, you've got two people, and we have to decide what is the most important thing. Do I think that Susan Collins, who not only promised to only be there for 2 terms, but has helped bring forth this current administration and this current society that we're living in, do I consider her more dangerous based on what I have seen her do and what I have heard about what Plattner has done, especially in the last few years of his life, to try and become a better person? Yes, I consider Susan Collins to be a worse choice. Personally, that is my personal opinion. Am I nervous about Graham Plattner? Of course, but if we're being honest, I'm nervous about everybody. If we're being honest, if we are being truly honest with ourselves, there is not one person running for office that there is not just a smidge of nervousness about. That everything that they've said that they want to do, they won't do. That they won't be quite the person we thought they were. Like, this is the part we need to remind ourselves, is that even the absolute perfect person, not even because money talks, because there's realities that you don't know about until you're in those spaces. Because being a senator and running for Senate are 2 different things. Because the realities of our laws make what we say we want to do and what we can do different. Because people sometimes react different to running than they do to being. The stress of being a senator and the stress of running for Senate are 2 different kinds of stresses. And some people are probably really good at running for office and not good at being senators.
Yeah, there's a classic example would be John Edwards. He had everything going for him, including a run for president and a run for vice president on, I forget whose ticket he was on now. Just, was he Kerry's candidate?
I think so.
It might have been with Kerry, yeah. At any rate, I wanted that guy for president. I was supporting him for president. And then all of a sudden the bombshells drop. And he was both personally and financially a complete scumbag. He should have gone to jail. Yeah, so you don't even know after you elect somebody who checks all the boxes. He checks all your personal boxes. You can't be certain. And then you get a guy who everybody thought was shy and wouldn't make a good senator, like John Ossoff down in Georgia, and he's turned out to be a tremendous United States senator. And he's found his voice running for his second term. So you're quite right, Mike. You don't know what you're getting anyway. It's so difficult to pick in the primary stage and even in the general election stage, weighing these things between Plattner and Collins. My God, they both have negatives up the wazoo. It's hard to pick. It's also hard to determine who would be an effective U.S. senator. You can't know that ahead of time.
No, you can't. Just like you can't technically know someone would be a good president or not. You can't technically know it. I think there are hints, but in the end, you can't fully know it.
Everybody thought Harry Truman would be a joke, and he turned out to be one of our better presidents of the 20th century. And at the time, everybody considered him a joke. So there's your prime example of somebody who pleasantly surprises.
Well, and again, what makes someone even good or bad is relative.
Subjective.
It's subjective.
Yeah, it's subjective. I agree. But most historians view the Truman administration as quite good.
But Sassy, what we're saying is there are people that are running to not do that. And they're not getting through because, again, it still comes down to us. It still comes down to every single one of us as voters in this country. And if we are not willing to actually do any work, as the captain was talking about, people that he talked to didn't remember that he talked to them because it didn't matter to them. In the end, it didn't matter to them. It's got to matter. It's got to matter to people. If it doesn't feel important, then they're not going to do anything about it. And that is a problem. Go Team USA. You know, I am not going to be paying attention to the FIFA World Cup. I personally think, as much as I understand that for some people it will bring in funds, I personally think that we as fans of, as American citizens and even fans of soccer, should not be supporting FIFA in this. I think FIFA has been shitty in their own right in many ways. And but you know, obviously I'll be happy if Team USA wins. I don't know how you can't be, but I'm not going to be paying attention.
Well, Mike, they did give Trump the FIFA World Peace Prize. I mean, that's touching. I was moved to tears by that. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, he can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, who needs the Nobel Peace Prize when you can get the FIFA Peace Prize? That didn't exist until they gave it to him.
That was created literally for him. All right, guys. I know I went a little bit over. I appreciate all of you that stuck around, and I know you probably got things to do. Guys, I will see you tomorrow, and we'll see what goes on in the world. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the gifts. I appreciate it. Please go watch any of the interviews, especially if they're in your state or if you know people in those states. Please share them. Again, visibility, name recognition, those things are important. Those things are necessary if we want to get any of the changes that we're talking about. And I'm excited because in like about 2 weeks now, I'm going to be going on my trip and interviewing some people that are running for Congress and some people that were running for Congress. And also going to be given the middle finger to the White House and the Supreme Court and all those places. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. You guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys.